Welcome to the Human Meme Podcast. I'm David Bowles, and we have a new fractional fiction novel to share with you today. The Kinship of Strangers. When science dissolves the boundaries we need. What does it mean to discover that you are kin to strangers? Not metaphorically kin, not spiritually connected, but genetically linked in ways that contradict everything you were taught about who your people are and who they are not. This is the question at the center of my new novel, The Kinship of Strangers, the third book in the Fractional Fiction series. And it is a question that has no comfortable answer, which is precisely why I needed to write about it. We live in an age of genetic revelation. For less than $100, you can spit into a tube and receive, 6 weeks later, a percentage breakdown of your ancestry. You can discover relatives you never knew existed. You can trace your maternal line back through mitochondrial DNA and your paternal line through Y-chromosome markers. The technology is remarkable. What we do with the information it provides is another matter entirely. Here's what the science tells us, and this is not speculation, but documented research. Populations that have lived as neighbors for thousands of years share ancestry that transcends every boundary they have drawn between themselves. The Cohen modal haplotype, a Y-chromosome signature associated with Jewish priestly lineage, appears in Palestinian populations. Bronze Age bones excavated from the Levant carry DNA that belongs to everyone and no one. The genetic distance between peoples who define themselves as fundamentally different is often smaller than the genetic distance within those populations. The molecules do not care about our categories. They simply report what is. But we are not molecules. We are storytelling creatures who build our identities from narratives passed down through generations. We know who we are because we know who our people are, and we know who our people are because we know who they are not. The boundary is constitutive. Remove it, and something essential seems to collapse. This is where cognitive science enters the picture. There is a documented phenomenon called identity-protective cognition. It describes the tendency of intelligent people to recruit their cognitive resources in defense of beliefs that anchor their social identity, even when evidence contradicts those beliefs. The research is counterintuitive. The smarter you are, the better you are at defending what you already believe. Intelligence does not protect against motivated reasoning. Intelligence is recruited in service of motivated reasoning. So what happens when genetic evidence arrives that contradicts inherited identity? The science says we are kin. The stories say we are not. The mind, faced with this contradiction, does not simply update its beliefs. The mind protects its sense of self. The Kinship of Strangers follows 10 characters confronting this gap. A rabbi in Philadelphia receives test results that connect his Y chromosome more closely to Palestinians than to most of his congregation. A Palestinian archaeologist excavates remains that complicate every modern claim to the land she is digging. A cognitive scientist lectures brilliantly on identity-protective cognition while failing to apply her own research to her own avoidances. A genetic counselor who helps others interpret their ancestry throws away her own kit unopened. These characters do not arrive at resolution, that would be a lie. They arrive at recognition, which is different. Recognition means seeing what is there without necessarily knowing what to do about it. Recognition means acknowledging kinship without being able to act on it. Recognition means holding contradictions that cannot be resolved, because resolving them would require abandoning either the science or the story, and neither abandonment is possible. The novel draws its structure from two sources. James Joyce's Dubliners provides the model of linked stories building toward earned epiphany, each narrative complete in itself, yet enriched by the others. The nested narratives of 1001 Nights provide the framing logic. Scheherazade survives by leaving stories unfinished, by making continuation more compelling than conclusion. Like Scheherazade, these characters have learned that the story that does not end is the story that keeps you alive. This is what fractional fiction means as a methodology. Each novel takes public domain literary architecture and synthesizes it with contemporary scientific research to produce something that belongs fully to neither tradition, but could not exist without both. The Dying Grove married Joyce to mycorrhizal network research. The Inheritance fused Ibsen's ghosts with transgenerational epigenetics. The Kinship of Strangers brings Joyce and Scheherazade together with population genetics and cognitive science. I wrote this book because I believe fiction can hold what argument cannot. An essay about genetic ancestry and identity-protective cognition would be interesting, perhaps even persuasive. But it would not put you inside the experience of a rabbi standing in his sanctuary, knowing something about himself that he cannot share with his congregation. It would not let you feel what it means to excavate bones that belong to your people and your enemies simultaneously, because your people and your enemies turn out to share ancestors neither wants to claim. Fiction creates empathy through inhabitation. You do not just learn about these characters. You live inside their dilemmas for the duration of the reading. And when you emerge, something has shifted. Not your beliefs necessarily, perhaps just your capacity to imagine what it would mean if the boundaries you depend on turned out to be more porous than you thought. The Kinship of Strangers is available now, and you can get more information by heading over to bowlesbooks.com right now. The test results are in. The question is whether we are ready to read them. For the Human Meme Podcast, I'm David Bowles, wishing you a warm evening and a more adventurous tomorrow. Be a human meme.